Marvel, I love them. The movies lately aren't the best.
That's putting it pretty nicely.
Mumbury, you're excited for this movie? Tell the folks, what movie are we doing and why is it a millennial classic?
We are doing Guardians of the Galaxy, baby.
Woo!
This movie is one of the few movies in the MCU that kind of has its own vibe. It kind of has its own separate thing that you can see is like, all right, this is Guardians. When the Guardians show up in the Avengers, they have their own vibe. They bring in James Gunn to write their own stuff because the characters and the interplay are a little bit different. These guys are unique in that way, and these are just good vibes. I love these movies. They don't get too serious. They still aren't super light. So let's do it. Why'd you pick it?
Why'd I pick it? So first of all, I like the mashing up. You know, like even in the movie they talk about a bunch of losers. I'm not talking about us, but I'm just saying I like the team up movies from random folks, right? Yeah. And I was thinking of a good team up movie to have a featured guest on, and this is definitely one of them. And when I was making the decision for the movie to do, that was the main point of mine. Then going back to rewatch it, the feels. Oh my God, this movie, it's a great goddamn movie. But let me not suck up all the air here. Hugo, I know I told the folks where you're coming from, but just tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're coming from, but then also, what does this movie mean to you?
Okay, well, my name's Hugo. I started a reaction channel about a year ago. I don't really watch too much TV per se, and this was like a way for me to like start watching like anime, and somehow I've made myself watch other things like The Last of Us. Like we just watched Guardians of the Galaxy 3. No, it's been fun, but the first time I ever watched Guardians of the Galaxy, I didn't know what it was in any sense. I've always been kind of a DC guy. So at the time, like I was really into like anything Christopher Nolan. Gotcha. So I was like real serious, and probably 2014 personally, I was a little depressed. So when Guardians of the Galaxy came out, it was like the first time I was like, I'm enjoying the movie. It feels kind of intense, and it's still like wholesome and lighthearted. Things are gonna get easier. Like the guy, I don't want to like jump ahead, but I mean, he kind of like wins the fight dancing, Quill, right? You know, like that's how he. And I was like, oh, okay, I enjoy it.
I love that. I love that. Right? Like it's like, yeah, you're a superhero. You don't have to fucking blast the guy. He ends up blasting guy to smithereens. Yeah. But all superheroes don't have to be a Dark Knight serious superhero. Right. Even though we all love ourselves some Dark Knight. Before you guys did the rewatch, and we can start with you, Hugo, what was the thing that you remembered most about the movie before rewatching it for the podcast?
I remember, okay, it's just silly. Like, that's it. I didn't even remember anything outside of, okay, it's just silly goofiness. I actually thought it was kind of like a B movie. Marvel, they're fine. I love them. The movies lately aren't the best. That's
putting it pretty nicely.
Yeah. I love almost everything. They have some flubs. Prior to Endgame, beautiful. And then Endgame was like top tier. And then after that, there's kind of been some decent, like Shang-Chi was gnarly, but that's kind of like it.
Yeah.
I forgot the question. I just rambled. I'm sorry.
No, you got it. You said that it was pretty silly. Mumbury, how about you? Before the rewatch, what was the thing that you remembered most about this movie?
I remember my initial reaction to this movie, and that was I didn't quite know who these guys were. Like, so my brother knows all the comics, so he was like, "No, Guardians are sick. But I'm out here being like, "All right, yo, I know Captain America, I know Iron Man." Like, I know the big guys. I even know Thor, but I never heard of these like Guardians of the Galaxy guys. There's like a raccoon hanging with them. And you look at like a picture of the comics, you're like, this looks so ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, military tactical genius meets military screw up. You do the math.
Okay, that probably didn't help explain things. Look, my name is Peter Quill.
So this is probably the movie. I'm bringing all that up because this is probably the movie where I went in with the lowest expectations. Marvel was still pretty new at this point.
Yes.
Right? And there weren't always striking hits at this point. Captain America, the First Avengers, solid movie, not exactly a barn burner. Thor, The Dark World,
Oh
It's
god.
probably the worst one out of all of these so far, and that came out just before this. It's like the movies are hit and miss, and then you have this raccoon movie coming out, and you're like, yeah.
And a moving
the-
tree.
The guy who's leading it is from Parks and Rec.
Leslie, I typed your symptoms into the thing up here, and it says you could have network connectivity problems.
And then you're like, all right, this movie's gonna bomb. And then you watch it, and you're literally just like, holy shit. This movie's way, way, way better. And that didn't really happen. The only other time I could see that happening, well, it doesn't really happen now because now they have so much hype behind them. Like even Black Panther comes out a couple years later, and even though it's like a brand new thing, it's so anticipated at that point, and Marvel has so much juice that it's like it's better than what you expect, but it's still what you expect.
Yeah, it's within range. It's within range.
Yeah.
For me, 100% it was the soundtrack. All I could remember about this movie was the banger of a soundtrack, and we'll get to that as we go through the movie. But everything that you said is 100% on point. And like when we get to the cast, I just want to say kudos to the cast for coming together for a bunch of fucking superheroes nobody knew. Like nobody knew these folks. At least the Guardians of the Galaxy. No one that's not deep into the comics. Oh, they're so good together.